So I bought this bamboo body pillow. I think it's made out of bamboo. And it's not like a standard pillow, it's like a whole body of pillow. This thing's bigger than me. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, Aaron Judge keeps judging along on his way to perhaps his 7th All-Star, but also maybe a back-to-back MVP, and kind of do his crazy stuff there. So we'll actually take a break, take a moment here to actually look at his numbers where we're approaching now the halfway point of the season there, and he's putting up some insane numbers there. So in case you don't know all the numbers, we'll go through that. And Rob Manfred kind of raising some eyebrows during the week, basically putting out there that Major League Baseball will probably utilize the ABS system. Again, that's the automated balls and strike thing that we saw a little sneak preview of that this just past spring training there. Well, that might be in play for the regular season in 2026. So we'll kind of get into that. And if you don't know the background of it and all the rules there, we'll rehash that as well. And of course, with the Yankees, we're always talking about injuries and who's coming back with that and give you some updates there. So I guess maybe two of the bigger names, bigger pieces, of course, Giancarlo Stanton as well as Marcus Stroman kind of working their way back. We'll kind of give you the update on that. And of course, we got some numbers behind Devin Williams. Now, again, now the de facto closer, the fact that Luke Weaver is still working his way back from the ILL. And there was an insert article in the Post about that, and we have some numbers to back him up in terms of his swing and miss stuff, how he improved himself, from April to May there. Again, he has been a little bit more effective, not perfect, but again, we got some numbers to back that up there. So little stuff for you, and we'll also throw in a little jazz as well, because fresh back there, and of course, always in the middle of something. He had the issue with the Red Sox game there where he was mic'd up, and had a play there while he was talking there, threw a ball away, and kind of look, is it a good idea to be micing these players up during the game when they're supposed to be concentrating there? So wide bag of stuff for you there. So we're going to get started here, but before we do, make sure to subscribe to the audio podcast version of Section 420 Talkin Yankees. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there as well. And if you have to be watching right now on YouTube or on television, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Get both. So, of course, Aaron Judge, we take him for granted a little bit, and he's just putting up this incredible season right now. And it's kind of like you kind of think, well, it's Judge doing his thing there. But, really the numbers right now where, he would dip a little bit under 400. But that's the fact that we're talking about this part of the season. Again, we're, into June now. We got about another month, but we can almost say the halfway point there. And this guy's hitting around 400. So, quite incredible. Obviously, he's going to go to the All-Star game. He's going to start the All-Star game. Again, you pencil that in. Whether it's center field or right field, I don't know how they'll work that out there. But he's going to start in the All-Star game. And, of course, now you look at the possibility, even get back-to-back MVPs. And it's just kind of a shame he got hurt in 2023 because, he was an MVP in 2022, gets hurt in 23. Can't really say if he would have finished as an MVP or not. We know he got it last year. So here's a guy who potentially could be winning 4 MVPs in a row there. So really on top of the game. And you hear people, giving whispers and saying things like Mickey Mantle-ish type of stuff we're seeing from him there. So I don't know, got that far ahead of ourselves there. But again, having an incredible season quietly. I know right now he dipped to number 2 in home runs in the entire league. Ooh, but he could make up that 1 week there. But if you want to look at his numbers overall, quite astonishing. And again, leading in a lot of the key categories here where I can't see, come the end of the day, unless something crazy happens, he's probably going to be the 2025 MVP. But if you want to take a moment as right now, just look at his numbers. Right now leads all majors in batting average at 396. So again, this guy's right around 400, which is kind of crazy this day and age. On base percentage, leading the majors in that with .493. Slugging percentage, 771. On base plus slugging, OPS, 1.264. I mean, a lot of players are under the 1. He's over the 1 and add the 200 there. Leads all majors in hits with 95 and leads all majors with extra base hits with 42. And again, his 396 batting average right now is consistently always 20 points higher than whoever's number 2 right now, which has been consistent so far the whole season. So completely dominating right now. I know the home runs slow down a little bit, but again, he's the kind of guy like you saw during the Boston series. He get 2 home runs in 1 game, so whatever. He can just have a spurt there. But just the fact what he's doing overall there, and kind of quietly there, man. He hasn't made too much news for the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees dealing with all the other stuff, maybe because of all the injuries, to start the season. Then Judges has kind of been nondescript there. But again, you should just take a moment just to sit back and appreciate what we're seeing with this guy. Again, remember for years complaining, we don't develop our home players, all we get is free agencies, all this stuff there. And again, the Yankees have had some of these guys there. And again, you want to look at someone like Derek Jeter, the previous captain, and now Aaron Judge. And this is his time right now where, he's 32 years old. He's still in his prime there. You'll probably get another couple of years of this, maybe up to his 37, 38. Maybe then he slows down a little bit there. But again, you want to just take a step back to appreciate what we're seeing right now with this guy. Again, the fastest home run compared to like Babe Ruth there, so he's going to get more than 500 home runs there. So again, probably a shoe-in first ballot Hall of Famer look at this point. But again, that's all going to be a not there if he doesn't get the ring. Now you might be wondering what's going on with the other big man, Stanton. Again, the last episode we kind of mentioned that he was working down in Tampa using the traject machine. Again, that's the machine that kind of can fake you like a slide and stuff like that. But again, working down in Tampa, they're doing some running as well. Again, we don't want Stanton running. We know that he pulls something, breaks something. But again, doing a little running, doing a little hitting. And then the question was in the air was, and Boone really wasn't even sure himself. All right, do you just put him right back up at the major league level there and just have him play right away? Was the machine in Tampa good enough? Or do you give him a rehab assignment in the minor leagues? Now, look, you can't really throw a guy out there. You got to give him a couple games in the minors. So I figured that was going to be the case, and it's going to be the case. It looks like he's going to report with Somerset there for a number of games. It'll probably be similar like DJ LeMahieu, who'll probably play a week. They just want to get him to the routine of, walking up at the plate there, getting in at bat, and then, running the bases there and real-time speed and all that stuff there. You can't just have a guy running, doing jogging in Tampa and going for a batting machine, even if it's the traject machine, and then throw him right there the major league level. Stanton's a very talented guy as well. There maybe a future Hall of Famer in his own way, but nevertheless, you figure he gets a minor league game. So not really a big deal. So I don't know, maybe a couple games AA, maybe they bump him up to AAA, and then at some point he'll join the team. So the good news is that kind of early, almost a little middle part of June there, we should get Stanton sometime in this month of June, which is good news for the Yankees. Again, they're not desperate for offense, but of course we know what he could add to the table there. And he's look at the rest of the lineup, and then we see what Goldschmidt's doing. DJ's, not great, but DJ's been doing well, and we've covered him in some previous episodes. Like to see a little bit more still from Bellinger, but again, it's all right there. Jazz been all right with him back. A couple of home runs we've seen from him there, and you see the lengthening of this Yankee lineup there. And of course, maybe he's got some guys that are a little bit cold, such as Wells and Grisham. They get heat up there, and then again, this offense again has been struggling with offense there. But if you just add Stanton to the mix, it's a no-brainer. And whether you like the replay in baseball, and if you like robo umpires and all that stuff there, well, maybe it might be good news, maybe not bad news for you, but nevertheless, looks like the Major League Baseball likely to go forward with the ABS system for the 2026 season. Kind of talked about this a little bit in the intro. We saw, a little sample size of that in spring training. Overall, I think it went all away. Again, it's the automated ball strike system there. So basically, it gives a pitcher or a bat an opportunity to challenge and umpire balls and strikes. That's the whole thing that's always been with this, with the replay. It's like, all right, you can have a play at first or second base there, or a ball, you're not sure if it got caught or not in the outfield, or a home run, you're not sure if it went over the wall, skipped the wall, it should be a double or home run or not. Those are things that sort of like, all right, those are big instances there, but you never really want to get into balls and strikes because you just can't. It's too cumbersome. I mean, if you look at how many pitches get thrown into a game, I don't know, there's 200, 300 pitches on average here. You can't be looking at each one and challenging each one. It's just too much, too cumbersome. So baseball's developed this ABS system, which they've been using in the minor leagues there, just as an experiment, but then we saw it on the major league level this past spring training there. So basically how it works is that each team gets 2 challengers, and there's only 3 people that can make the challenge, either the pitcher, the catcher, or the hitter. So it's just the 3 people involved in the pitch. So it's not one of the situations where a pitch happens and you look in the dugout and sort of like, all right, should we go to the replay or not? All right, let's do the replay. So this has to be very instant. So basically what happens is one of the 3 there, if they want to challenge either the ball or the strike, they have to tap the head. It has to be like right away. And then, of course, Major League Baseball, they'll look at it and decide to determine whether it was a ball or strike and then reward the team either way. Now, you get 2 challengers. Now, if you're unsuccessful in your challenge, you then lose one. And of course, you're unsuccessful twice, you lose both of them. However, on the flip side, if you are successful in your challenge, then you maintain your 2 challenges there. So obviously, you have to use them wisely. And again, only tap your head if you're really, really sure of what yourself there. So, you have mixed feeling on it. I don't hate it. Again, I don't like the idea of a robo umpire. I think a human umpire calling balls and strikes on the moment there and having a human being. I know, I think that it just adds to the game, adds to the drama there. And maybe sometimes when you have a borderline call that doesn't go your way, even if you're a fan, it bothers you. It is part of the game. It kind of makes it human, makes it interesting. If everything's too robotic and too stuff like that, I think it kills some of the game there. So, but this is a way to slowly interject at least some balls and strikes there and some sort of replay fashion in there. Where again, baseball, you could have a play at first base, you could have an out made in the outfield there where you could challenge or a home run. That's a little different there. But if you're going to challenge every single ball and strikes there, it's just you can't do that. The game will go like 6 hours, which is crazy. And you know what baseball's doing already? They're trying to shorten the time of the game, which they've been doing with the pitch clock and all that stuff there. So this seemed to be a quick effort. When I would say, we saw in spring training went rather smoothly. I'm okay with it. Again, I love the idea of replays and automation stuff in baseball. I think it should be a human game, even if though sometimes your team gets screwed with some calls there. I think it is part of the game there, but nevertheless, this ain't terrible. And if it's just twice a game, and you got big key moments there. Again, you would hate a big key moment that your pitcher got out of the jam, threw a strike there, but got called a ball, and then the next pitch gets belted for a grand slam. And again, the Yankees kind of got the beneficiary of that. Remember Mark Langston and Tino Martinez. Again, Langston on a 2-2 pitch there. Threw a ball kind of a little bit highish, but it was probably should have been strike 3. Gets a 3-2 count, and then Tino, of course, knows that if they gets the grand slam, Yankees go on to win Game 1 of the '98 World Series there. So we've seen it benefit the Yankees a little bit, but again, there's been some tight pitches and other ways that the Yankees have not get the benefit of it. So sometimes you want some sort of system where if it's only once or twice a game and it's a big moment, it's a big pitch there, you want to make sure you get the call right. They want to do it. And I think overall, fans have been liking this stuff. I mean, they like the idea of getting the calls right. Again, this all started really with, a little bit with hockey, but they really got the big thing with football there. And it just improves the quality of the game there when you get getting the calls right there. You don't want too many blown calls. It just kills the integrity of the game. I'm okay with it, so that looks like the way it's going to go. Now, at some point, do we get automated umpires and stuff like that and automatic strike zones? Maybe that's for the future. We'll see with that. I don't really love that idea. But the ABS thing, I think it's okay. It's reasonable. And again, it's only for 2 pitches. And keeping in the theme of technology, this was, you saw during the Boston game, because it's the Sunday night ESPN game there, where we've seen this before, other games there, they mic'd up Jazz, again, just because he's always interested in saying stuff like that. The mic up during the game, and of course, there's a play while he was covering third base there, where maybe because he was in the middle of speaking there, maybe the guy caught off guard, made a play at third base where he got to the ball, great, but when he threw it, the ball went up the line there, missed the throw at first, and you hear him say damn and stuff like that there. And then you're kind of wondering, well, was he really paying attention? Was he more concentrating on answering the question than really getting a good beat on the ball? Well, again, he got to the ball. That wasn't the problem. It's just the throw was bad, but you get kind of the whole thing. If he wasn't mic'd up and he was just playing the game normally, would that play have been made or not there? So you can think about that. But again, overall, I don't really think it detracts anything because, again, we don't know what season these players had. Just because someone's not mic'd up, you don't know. They might be wondering about their laundry. They might be wondering about the kid's birthday. Their head might be somewhere else half the time there. So the fact that he's mic'd up there, it brings attention to the whole thing there. But nevertheless, this could have been more of anything. It's just bad luck, bad timing as you talk. And we've seen it with other games, other players mic'd up in other games. And I never really saw it as an issue there. So I think it is interesting. Again, they probably shouldn't be doing that and distracting the players on the game. But of course, I understand they want to bring the game to the fans and to the TV crowd and all that stuff. And that's why you got the ump cam and all this stuff there to try to bring the game as close into the living room as possible there. And again, I think it does make it interesting and show the human side of some of these players. And again, they want to bring more audience and more attention to the game there. So this is one of these gizmos we're seeing there. And again, to discuss almost in previous seasons, again, fan viewership, fan attendance in Major League Baseball has been going up over the past couple of seasons. So all these little gizmos and tricks and the pitch clock stuff that has been working overall there. And this is just part of it. Again, it's just an unfortunate situation for Jazz there. This could, I think, whether being mic'd up got him caught off or not, who knows at that. But again, you don't know what's really in these players' heads at any moment when a ball is going to a screaming line drive is going to them or a ground ball is going to them there. So I don't think that was an issue. He's a professional. He's a major league player there. Maybe it's just whatever. It was bad timing. That could have easily happened if he wasn't mic'd up there. But what was a little concerning, I think, would be more of that was a statement he made on X. Obviously, just had to reflect. This was a reply to the whole Hunter Dobbins thing. Again, if you hear the story, which you probably did, he was the Red Sox rookie there. He was asked, and he would say, he would never play for the Yankees. If the Yankees were the last team available, then I'd rather retire there. Which I don't know why you even come out and say this. Like, all right, even if we're Yankee fans. If you're a Yankee fan, you hate the Mets, you hate the Red Sox. Maybe you would say something similar there. But if you're on the major league level and you're a player at that point there, man, it's not something you want to say there because maybe at some point they might be the only team willing to offer you a contract. So why would you even say that to begin with? Nevertheless. Obviously, the comments made the waves there, and Jazz weighed in on it, basically saying that he posted on X himself that, there should be more trash talking to baseball. What do you think about that? Now, I wanted to take a step back a little bit a couple of months ago with Jazz. We had that low cold strike there in Tampa. He basically went to X there and called out an umpire there. Now, he almost got suspended one game from it, but actually, when he challenged it, he actually got the benefit where they decided not to suspend him over the comments. But this is the fact that, we get into the whole thing of players, taking to social media there, and maybe you think he learned his lesson there, and you think this low key there. Now he's saying there should be more trash talking in baseball. I know it's a comment, it's not a big deal there, but really should not have these players I would forget, if I was the manager or kind of a general manager there, I would kind of sway him of not making comments like that and being a bit insightful. And remember when Twitter first came out, when the Yankees had Shelley Duncan, this was about 2007, 2008, I don't remember him. his tweets were actually really funny, and he used to say some real bizarre things, but at the time it was considered controversial. Like, you can't say that, you can't do this like that, and they kind of made him almost stop doing that. Now it's just funny, years later they're almost like letting Jazz just flow freely with the stuff there. So it's just kind of interesting once you just take, two different, about 20 years apart there, what players could say and not say there. But again, I think Jazz, moral, I don't mind him the whole thing with the mic'd up there, but again, you should not be saying insightful things there. You should do it the way Judge did and just, hit a home run off this guy there. That's the way you kind of stick to this guy. But kind of talking trash and stuff and on X and go like that there, you're setting yourself up to fail there. And I think, you're putting yourself in a situation there where if you strike out in a big spot after you made a statement like that, you look stupid. And there was an interesting piece in the New York Post I kind of mentioned in the beginning there. Mainly had focus on Devin Williams, but really was an interview with Matt Blake, the pitching coach, about Devin Williams and kind of how he's improving himself. So, of course, when he came here, we had a lot of expectations from him, and we saw him struggle early, mightily in April, to the point where they had to take him out of the closer role. But since then, we've seen him have improvement there in terms of just getting outs and getting strikeouts there. Again, still not the Devin Williams we thought we were going to get from the Milwaukee there, but definitely a better version of what we saw there in April. Now, according to Matt Blake, as he kind of prognosed the whole situation there, he felt that he was too over-reliant on the changeup. Again, that's his bread and butter pitch, the whole airbender, and didn't really have the good fastball command. Now, again, when I saw Devin Williams struggle there, I mentioned that something was wrong with him in terms of, he's supposed to get in swing and misses. I know he doesn't throw 100 miles per hour with the ball through the wall. He's a mid-90s guy, but still, they were on all his pitches and the sort of airbender there. He wasn't getting swings and misses on it. They were basically fouling it off, and getting good counts on him, and either he would get a walk there or he would serve up a double there. So he was getting clocked around there. So something was wrong with his stuff there. He wasn't getting those good swing and misses there. And we saw him go to the changeup a lot there. And according to Matt Blake, felt like went to it to a little too much, and Matt Blake was all for taking him out of the closer role, where give him a different role there where he can kind of work on the stuff and not have the pressure and the spotlight of closing games for the New York Yankees there, because if you're failing, you're crumbling in that role there, it's hard to get back there. I mean, you can really sink quickly, so I think it was a good move to take him out, put Luke Weaver in there. Now, we know Luke Weaver's hurt right now, working his way back from the IL, and give you an update on him in a moment there, but getting to Devin Williams there, we see him again work on his stuff there, and we see on the improvements, and the numbers show it there. So first, you want to look at the swing and miss stuff. So if you want to look at, obviously this season a little funky. It started technically March 31st. So if you want to look at the March, April kind of first full month there of the season for him, the swing and, I guess they call it the whiff ratio in terms of swing and miss on his pitches there, he had a 26.8% whiff on the changeup, whereas in May, it improved by 13 points. In May, it was 39.6, so a 13% improvement on the swing and miss on the airbender, the changeup there, and on the fastball, even more dramatic swing and miss rate there. So back in March and April there, his swing and miss thing was about 25%. It was actually 25.6% whiff rate. Well, in May, it's been much more improved on the fastball, 47.1, so almost a 20% improvement on the swing and miss stuff on his fastball there. So stuff is more crisper, and it kind of looks like, again, because he wasn't getting swing and misses there in April there, and again, that's why they were laying off the stuff, they were fouling it off, getting a good pitch to hit and laying on that, or he would end up surrendering a walk there, and that's why he had all those blow-ups in all those games there. Again, you look at 4 or 5 games there that, you pretty much cost the Yankees early in the season there, but nevertheless, we saw him improve there, and now you see him with the swing and miss, see him with the strikeouts there. Probably that one inning he had in the Subway Series, I think it was a Friday night game where he came in and struck out all 3 batters. It's probably the best he's looked so far this season there. Now, he's taken a couple of back steps here and there along the way, but again, we're getting a little bit better version of Devin Williams. Not the guy thought we'd get in Milwaukee, but pretty close. And he's also cut down on the walks there, and also some numbers right here to back that up as well. So if you want to look from May 7th to now this is for strikeouts per 9 inning and walks per 9 inning. Obviously, you want to have high strikeouts per 9 inning and low walks per 9 inning, and he's improved in both areas. So first, we'll go to the strikeouts for 9 innings. So he was averaging 11.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. Well, he's now bumped that up about a point. He's now at 12.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. So since May 7th, he's improved 1 strikeout per inning for 9 innings there. And the walks, he's actually gotten down much better there. It's actually gone down about 3 walks per 9 innings in that frame. So he started off around May 7th at 4.5 walks per 9 inning. He's now got that down to this 1.5 walks per 9 innings. So drastically getting the walks down there, so that's why we've seen him a little bit better. Again, some of those blow-ups he's had in April, it was him just getting guys on base there, and I know he got out of a big jam in opening day there against Milwaukee there, again, a bases loaded situation where he got a strikeout to end the game there, but we've seen the situation, he was walking a lot of guys, putting a lot of guys on bases there, and there's one hit or so there, and then you bring in 2 runs and just destroys the whole game for you. So, he's getting more strikeouts now, he's cut down on the walks there. Again, he's just like to get a little bit better there because, when Luke Weaver comes back, I still think you put Luke Weaver in as a closer and stick that way the whole way. I know Devin Williams, he probably thought he'll be the closer the whole way there, but I just don't see any situation where you want to switch those guys right now. So I would say once Weaver comes back, I'll still keep him as closer and let Devin Williams stay, let him keep flourishing in the setup role. Now you might be wondering, where is Luke Weaver? Well, again, last we heard from him, he was placed on the 15-day IL because all kind of mixed, estimations when we back in originally we got the big scare of 4 to 6 weeks. I don't think it's going to be that long there. Probably not as quick as 15 days, but somewhere in the middle. Now, he did get one of these shots. It's the PRP, the platelet-rich plasma, that the Yankees keep and shoot up everybody with. So Stanton got like 3 of those in each of his elbows. Stroman got shot up with that. Scott Efros got shot up with that. Now, most recently, Luke Weaver got shot up with that. Now, according to Boone, I guess the last report in terms of his workout, June 8th, I guess Luke Weaver threw a bullpen session there, and he threw in what Boone called more intensity there. So looks like he's ramping up there. So I can't see him being 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, if you kind of just amped up early there and everything looks well. So again, probably maybe towards the end of June-ish when you get to see Luke Weaver back there. It really hasn't bit the Yankees in the backside too much, really. Again, pitching hasn't really been the problem overall for the Yankees. Even without Weaver, again, the Yankees kind of been moseying their way through, using Devin Williams when they have to. And, of course, now good having Fernando Cruz back. Since he's been effective since he's been back there, he also has the ability to close out games there. So, and of course, Loaiza, obviously the Yankees don't really rely on him to close it, but he also has the ability to close out games for the Yankees again. So the Yankees are okay until Weaver gets back, but Weaver, he's obviously a piece you need him definitely for the postseason. But right now, obviously, take him time, don't baby him, don't force him there, and he should be back. I would say probably around late June-ish. And an update on another pitcher working his way back because this is a starting pitcher, and that's Marcus Stroman. Again, he hurt his knee there back in April, and really, initially it seemed like, he was going to be back for a while there. Again, the initial, even though they also gave him a PRP shot in the knee there, he was still experiencing soreness anytime they throw a bullpen session or some batting practice. But of late there, it looks like he's been able to throw effectively without any soreness there. Really no timetable for him to come back there because it's still too soon. He has to put a lot more work in. So we knew we had the batting practice session when the Yankees were out in LA against the Dodgers. Then on the more recent homestand, when the Yankees were home, they threw a 40-pitch batting practice session there where Boone said his stuff looked good, stuff looked sharp there, but not at a point where they could really put a timetable when he's going to come back. But what an interesting note from Boone, though, is that they're building him up to be a starter there. So we had this whole controversy back in spring there. Stroman is going to be a starter? Is he going to come out of the bullpen? Is he going to be a reliever? Stuff like that. At least right now, the plan for Stroman is to come back as a starter there, which is going to be a little interesting because, again, the Yankees are good right now. Now, again, at this point, and of course, Luis Gil is always obviously, floating around in the background as well. He's guaranteed a roster spot there. So who kind of gets bumped there, we don't know. In the near term, I just think it's still going to take Stroman for a while there. I think after a couple of successful bullpen sessions, then they'll have to give him a minor league assignment. Maybe you're talking about 2 or 3 starts there in the minors. And at that point, who knows what the rotation looks like at that point. Is Clark Schmidt on the IL? Is Yarbrough on the IL? Is God forbid, Rodon or Fried on the IL there. So we don't know what they look like at that point there. So I can understand why they want to at least look for him as a starter, and then once he's ready, see where you're going to pencil him at the point there. If this rotation is the way it is right now, I would assume probably the odd man out would be Yarbrough, which, again, we've been highlighting on this show there. He's been outstanding the past few starts. Now, I know he had a bloop there against Boston. Okay, you'll take that. But if you look at what he did before that, I think he's okay to have a bad night once in a while there. And, of course, right now, I would obviously rather have Yarbrough in the rotation than Stroman, but if someone's to get the bump, Yarbrough makes sense there because, again, the past couple of seasons, he has been a reliever there. And he has experience. Sometimes you have to spot start him, make him a long reliever, have him come out just to throw an inning. Again, he's kind of like, he has the flexibility and he has the mental makeup to do that because he's done that all in his past of his career there, where kind of Stroman's pretty much been a starter all his career there. So if someone gets bumped, if that's the case there, I would think that's going to be Yarbrough. But someone's at a point we're not going to look at that right now because we just don't know, once Stroman does get some rehab starts and is ready to come to the team, what that rotation is going to look like. Is Warren still going to be in there? Probably. Clark Schmidt in there? Probably. But we just don't know the situation. Of course, you got Luis Gil coming back there, and he would get the priority. Let's put Luis Gil right now as the Yankees' number 3 starter over all the other guys there. So it's going to kind of be probably Will Warren, Clark Schmidt, Yarbrough, and Stroman fighting over 2 spots. Now, the Yankees got a little scare in the Boston series, and that's with Anthony Volpe taking an 88-mile-per-hour pitch off the elbow there from Walker Buehler there. And, well, just put that aside a little bit. It was good that Buehler game that the Yankees were really able to rough him up. Of course, you remember back last season in the World Series there, he was the guy who got the final out, got the pitch to ninth inning against the Yankees, got those last outs there. So that's someone like you want in the crosshairs. You want to beat them up, and the fact that he was going to the Boston Red Sox there, and you're going to be able to get your hands on this guy. Well, he did. Yankees marked up a little bit. So that was the good part. The bad part, though, is Volpe taking his ball off the elbow there in the game. Now, he actually stayed in the game for a while a little bit, but did experience some swelling there, and then Boone had to take him out before his next at-bat there. Now, the next game, the Saturday game, he was available as a pinch runner, not a hitter, but then he was feeling a little better, able to take some swings, and of course, the good news that he was able to play in the Sunday night finale. Now, again, overall wasn't good because the Yankees ended up dropping 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox at home there in that first meeting there, but Volpe was played in the game there. Did go 2 for 5 there, so a couple of hits there. So at least showing there was no drastic or kind of any serious injury with the elbow there, and using a new elbow pad, I guess, to maybe roll it out for a while. And it's kind of a look back at Volpe. He's his third season there. He's kind of a guy you kind of maybe take for granted a little bit. I know we like a little bit more. We would want a little bit more out of him with the batting average, but I think he's getting better. We see him a little bit with the power there as well. Defense pretty steady, okay. But overall, you look at him, he's pretty much been a steady Eddie there since he's been on the major league level starting in 2023. And if you just look at the number of potential games he could have played in, which is 387. He's played 382 out of those 387 games there. So only kind of been 5 games where he's not been available or didn't play for maybe various reasons. The guy's not once been on the IL, so you want to compare him to like Soto-ish, like someone like Soto who, we want to make fun of him. Soto was never on the IL and he wasn't on the IL with the Yankees. A couple times he got hurt last season. He had a wrist injury. He had that situation where he ran into the wall in Oakland there. But, yeah, maybe you have to sit him down a game or 2 at most there, but he's back right at it. And what you like about Anthony Volpe, he seems to be cut from the same cloth there. If he's banged up, nicked up, he's never on the IL. Almost reminds you of Jeter a little bit. Again, maybe later on Jeter needed a little time on the IL, but Jeter was the same way. Like, he'll be beat up, he don't care. You see a little bit of that in Volpe as well there. So even with Volpe, again, we just want to maybe improve the batting average up to get it up a little bit, which he's been a little bit better than the season past there. Still on the low side there, but again, Volpe pretty much, a kind of a gritty guy there at shortstop where, he seems like a nice, calm guy. You don't think about it there, but it's kind of tough as nails there because he's always reliable, always available there, and this hopefully keeps that going. And staying on the infield, we've got Oswaldo Cabrera, who you might have saw the footage of him, kind of was buzzing around Yankee Stadium a little bit. This was kind of on his one-leg little scooter thing, of course. Had the broken ankle he suffered there May 12th in Seattle there. And there was a little speculation. He was asked, whether he thinks he could come back. He said there's a small chance, which I think that's just him being positive. I just can't really see any situation where he's going to come back and why you would want to rush the guy. Now, he kind of mentioned the procedure there. He basically has screws and platelets in the leg there, so you got to rehab from that. And then you got to get yourself back in Major League Baseball shape there and then kind of do some minor league rehab and stuff like that. And then we're going to come back like the last week of September there. So I think the season's a wash for him. Yeah, I think he'll be back for the Yankees in the future there, but I just don't see any possibility for him returning by the season, and I don't think you want to force yourself. And look, I think the Yankees are pretty much fine in the infield, and I don't think Oswaldo Cabrera is sort of like an all-star play where you have to get him back to the team. Like Stanton's different. Like Stanton, when he can bring to the team, you want him back. Cabrera's a nice guy, he's a nice piece there, but he's not going to have an impact of a Stanton camp, so no need to rush him back. And here at Section 420 Talkin Yankees, we like to keep you updated with some like those specialties, the bobbleheads and the giveaways of this and that. Not too crazy of that stuff. The one I really don't like is fireworks night. I think that's just degrading for the New York Yankees and Yankee Stadium, but nevertheless they're going to have it. I mean, that's for like, some college team or, a team like the Marlins to draw fans in there, desperate for seats. Shouldn't have it for the Yankees, but nevertheless the Yankees are going to have it. That's Friday, June 27th. Against the Athletics. Again, no longer the Oakland Athletics, the Athletics. And that's why you would have it. No one really wants to come to the game there unless you want to see Severino start a game and beat him up there. Nevertheless, draw fans. So the Yankees will have their little fireworks June 27th there. So if you want to go see that stuff, have yourself, knock yourself out there. Now, of course, the real fireworks will be Yankees at Citi Field a week later. That kicks off July 4th. Now, that's weird enough, it's a Friday. The game is a Friday. It's a 3:10 start there, so a little weird. So you might think, well, are they doing that to maybe for the Mets to have a fireworks night? No, there will be no fireworks night there. So kind of weird. You're bringing fans to the ballpark there, make them sit out in the heat, and then they don't get a fireworks show afterwards there. So kind of bad move by the Mets, but nevertheless, that will be the Yankees-Mets, I guess you call that round 2 at Citi Field.